Hello and welcome to another episode of Mysteries with a History, where you'll be taken on a wild ride into the unknown, the strange, and the mysterious. Like you, I have questions, and like you, I want answers. And with each episode, we will peel away the layers to look for the truth. From young children to the elderly, everyone is familiar with the pyramids of ancient Egypt and also those of the Aztec Empire in Mexico. But beyond these examples, there's a vast trove of history which many are unaware of, being ancient pyramid structures around the world, with located some of them located in very surprising places and with a murky past that defies the explanation of modern historians. To help me with this episode of Ancient Pyramids Around the World, let me bring in my co host, Jimmy Church of Fade to Black Radio, who was already preparing himself before he even came on. Jimmy, how's it going?
I apologize. I didn't know. I was just upload and then it popped in. It was not in my control. I didn't think it was going to do that. I apologize to everybody because Cristina runs a very professional, tight ship here. And I hang my head in shame. But they got a sneak preview is what they got.
Which is exciting, but not you can't hang your head in shame with that beanie that you have on.
Look at this, man. Look at this.
Looking damper.
And hold on. I got to look fresh, to look.
You do.
Fresh. There you go. So is it cool? Is it straight? Does it looks
it
like
looks good.
Okay. I feel a little off center.
No, it looks nice.
Yeah, a very cool friend got me this, and I'm just blown away. So cool, and because I need to stay hip, fresh, and to the curb.
You do,
and I feel that way today. I've had a very busy day. Thank you, Cristina. We had to delay the show today. I'll just tell everybody I went and had lunch with my brother and sister-in-law, but I had to drive. They were flying through, so they were at LAX. So I drove to LAX this morning, had lunch, and then made the mad dash back here. I did the live news. Now I'm on with you, and as soon as I'm off of this show, then I go and do Fade to Black. So I'm going to do 3 back-to-back live shows.
To do it.
Today, but that it's so much fun, and it's just an honor and a privilege to be able to do all of this and hang out with everybody. So I'm here. I fought the elements, I fought the cold, I fought the wind, and fired up the Jeep. Treacherous drive through the weather and the storms, and but I'm here. I got my Fender beanie, and I'm good to go. And we're doing pyramids today. I am so excited. And when I called Cristina, I said, I've got to go to LAX tomorrow. She goes, no, we're doing the show, Church. So as soon as you get back, we're going live. There's no way we're not doing the pyramids. And so we are. And there you go. Where'd you come up now? Last week, what were we doing last week? Australia?
Yes, the mysteries of Australia.
How do we go from that? I mean, where is your brain?
Well, in this case, it wasn't actually my idea. Someone left a comment in the YouTube comments, said, hey, look into the pyramids around the world. And I'm like, that's a great idea. Let's go ahead and cover that. So I do love getting suggestions from our viewers and listeners because I read the comments. I make sure to look at all of them. And I think that we've been getting some really great ideas. The pyramids of the world was a suggestion, along with the mysteries of Australia was also a suggestion from our viewers and listeners. So
I love the shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you. It's a part of the Skinwalker Ranch merch. Just got it in the mail and I'm digging it. It's giving me like rocker vibes, so I had to fit the whole thing.
Yeah, it is. It's got some. That could be a name of a band.
Skinwalker Ranch. Heck yeah.
Could be the name of a band, but love the shirt. Love the shirt.
Yeah.
Now, and here's the thing: pyramids of the world, because I think most. And I'll throw myself in that camp. I mean, I know stuff now, but pyramids, you think Egypt, right?
Right.
You think Egypt, and that is not the case. And you start to do the deep dive here, and obviously we can go to Central and South America. The pyramids that are there, and in some cases bigger than the Great Pyramid in Egypt. But China, and there's such a mystery about the Chinese pyramids because it's China. You can't just check in and go. Some of them are tourist destinations. Most of them, China's hiding them. They're hiding. They're planting trees on those pyramids. They don't want them to be photographed, and they don't want them to be seen. So there's a lot of mystery behind those, and some say that they're twice as big as the Great Pyramid, and we'll get to that too as well. But we have the other countries around the world, and we're going to explore all of that today. It's going to be a great show.
And on top of all of this, today was finally the day the UAP report dropped. And a lot of people are disappointed, but
what report you speaketh, young one?
well, one that we've been waiting for since October 31st, and we finally got it a few months late, but hey, better late than never. And it's something that people are reading all over social media. I will not be sharing my thoughts today. I'm actually going to be on Spaced Out Radio today at 9 p.m. PST. So come hang with us, guys, those that are listening in, because I'm going to be on with the panel of others going into a deep dive on the UAP report, maybe on a few things that you might have missed. So it's going to be very interesting. But when I read a run through of it, I'm like, I didn't expect less. I had low expectations, but at least we got a report now that in March, April, May, or something like that.
There are a few things stand out. We're doing a show today on pyramids, and we'll get to all of that. It is a big day. The report was released, and I didn't read. I read all of it as quickly as I could. It was in my news, and I've got a very busy day in front of me, so I couldn't do the deep dive. But I will do that tonight and tomorrow, and start to pick it apart. But what I found, that the comments, I'm going to say this on this show, the comments that some members of the media around the world were making about this report turned out to be wrong. And so I feel comfortable in saying that this was never leaked to anybody. Nobody had advanced information. Because what is here and what was suggested before for clicks was wrong. And the number of the sightings that were included in the report, I think, were much larger. Half of what is in that report is strange, in that strange propulsion, strange flight characteristics, and that's a big number. We're talking about 100 and in excess of 170 of these that had extraordinary flight characteristics and strange propulsion systems. So that in of itself is cause for concern, and also gives us stuff to go and look at. A big chunk of them were balloons. And
are you surprised?
Well, with our community, that's just a tainted word, right? It's just a tainted word. We don't want to see that. But I could understand where radar data, sensor data is picking up something, and you're in an airplane and you go and you look in that direction, and you're going to have to do that because it's coming up on your data. And then you look and you confirm that it's a balloon. And no matter what kind of balloon it is, that a lot of the stuff that is up in the skies that is picked up by sensors and radar and so forth could be balloons, and they were identified as such. But to have over 170 sightings with strange and extraordinary flight characteristics, there you go. This is only 12 pages. Again, kind of strange that it's
less than that. It's like 8, because then you have the cover page, you have the index, you have the appendix. You got all of these little fluff pages, and then the pages aren't even a full page. It's like half a page as well. But we're not going to get too much into that. We have a lot to cover today, talking about pyramids around the world. So let's get into that. But first, Lavera, thank you so much for the super sticker. Jessica as well, thank you. She states, one of my favorite topics is pyramids and ancient sites, and what they do and how they were built is all a mystery. So perfect for the show today. We're going to get into that. And Android, thank you so much as well. It says, I saw your interview with Jimmy. If your interests have changed so much with the more you learn in just 2 years, from UFOs to everything paranormal, just imagine in just 2 more years. Imagine in 10 years.
Got that
Well,
right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's you're absolutely right. And I would like to state that Jessica was on the show on Tuesday, top 5 cryptid encounters. It was actually a mods panel, so I brought in all the mods that we have, and we chatted about the top 5 cryptid encounters, and it was
Where
so
was
much fun.
wait. You guys are having a private party get together without me. I didn't get an invite. Nobody told me. And you guys are hanging
Because you're
out.
here every single Thursday, but it was Zenza, it was Jessica, it was Hides in Long Grass, it was Tyler as well.
Sure. Yeah. Everybody having fun. Yeah. Yeah.
You should
Yeah.
have been in a live chat at least. But let's get into today's topic.
No. I am upset. How much fun did you guys have?
A lot of fun.
Oh, that's it, man. I am just I can check out right now. I can check out right now.
Well then you better watch my Twitter or
I'll
come
take
in
my
next week.
toys. I'll take my toys and go home. Are you going to do it after the show today?
No, it's a new show that I'm doing on Tuesdays when I'm not doing interview format shows. It's going to be a top 5 show.
Oh, and I didn't get that invite. It's in my email, I guess, right? I just need to go
Just
and
check
find it.
just check out my Twitter, Jimmy. Follow me on Twitter. Eyes underscore on the skies for all of my updates.
I don't follow you on Twitter.
Doesn't seem like it, but Jonasai, thank you so much. It says, not all the mods are V-Fund. Hashtag ramen wagon. Thank you so much, Jonasai. You got the invite, but I know you couldn't make it. But thank you for coming into the live chat and modding the chat. Okay, now let's seriously get into today's topic.
Sure.
So, the first thing that we should probably touch on is Egypt. We simply cannot talk about pyramids without touching on Egypt. And then we'll get into more pyramids that you're probably not familiar with. When I mean you, I mean the viewers and listeners. So let's go ahead and talk about the Pyramid of Djoser, built in 2630 BC, because it's believed to be the world's oldest and most iconic pyramid. But it seems like it might not actually be the oldest, but the oldest standing pyramid. You went there when
I
you
did.
went to Egypt.
I did. And let me pull up something here. And oh god, my face. Oh god, this is horrible. But okay. Let me pull this up and the thing is, with it, I don't. When you see the images of the step pyramid, and here it is here, man. You know what? There's got to be a way to get me off this screen, right? Okay, yeah, let's do it like this. Much tastier. When you see it, you cannot appreciate because it looks jumbled, it looks crumbled. It doesn't. No, it is one of the most beautiful things I have ever seen. Christina, it is elegant. It is precise. It is stunning. And when you go up and you see it, it's divine, right? And it is complete, and you don't get that from images that you see of it. This is an image here that I took right at the base of it. But I also shot a really, really cool movie. And so let me pull this down. What are we looking at here? Is this? Yeah, that's that. Okay, so this movie I have not seen. Okay, it was shot on my phone. I haven't seen it yet. I've got it muted, but I believe this is a walk around that I'm doing. Yes. So its size, again, you can't really discern anything from images, but when you walk up on it like I'm doing here, you start to get a feel for it. I was not prepared. I was not prepared for its majesty and its beauty. This was shot right off of my phone. And this is I don't even know. This lady was from France, and she just came up speaking French to me, which is here. And we're, as you can see, it's just a few people here. And there you go. To think that now, let's do a little bit of history. We've got a lot to cover today, so I'm just going to jump into this. When this was originally designed, they did temple after temple after temple after temple and stacked the temples up. Hence the name step pyramid. Some say that the ideas for the smooth sides came later. Apparently, this is the end of my video. Now, what I want you to notice is if you look at the size of everybody in the background versus the first step that you're looking at here. Well, if somebody's 6 feet tall and that's one story, you can see that this is 7, 8, 9, 10 stories tall just to get to the first edge of the first step, and it continues up. It is huge, and the part of this that when I say these words, huge and giant, you don't really understand it until you are there. But the size of it, and then you back up, and then you just have to put the numbers together. How long, how many people, where did the resources come from to construct this, and how did they get it done? And especially when you throw in that other number, 5,000 years ago, right? 3,000 BC. Where did the engineering come from? Where did the math come from? The general, when you deal with architecture like this, you are not just stepping up going, okay, start stacking rocks. No, this is planned. And inside of this pyramid are kilometers of tunnels, kilometers. And you just stop and right off of this and down the hill is the Serapeum, which I've talked about a lot, and I've showed the videos and we've discussed it, and it's just about a mile away at this pyramid complex, which is huge, and it's just beautiful.
And this pyramid, this type of pyramid, the step pyramid, is believed to be the first of its kind. And then other countries modeled after Egypt, because there are a few pyramids across the globe, some of which that we will cover, that were influenced by Egypt. One of them actually was in Europe. So let's go ahead and talk about the one in Italy. And I'm pulling up the name as I get there. So just give me a moment. It's the Pyramid of Cestius. And this one, not only was it inspired by the Egyptian pyramids, because during the imperial era, they loved everything Egyptian. They loved absolutely everything. But what's really cool about this pyramid now was not only was it an actual tomb of a pyramid, with other pyramids in Egypt, they were believed to be tombs. However, through more research, people think that for in particular the pyramids of Giza, that they harbor Baghdad batteries, that it's some type of energy source more so than a temple. And when you were there, you hopefully got some answers regarding that. But coming to Egypt, Italy, very specifically Rome, this was supposedly a actual burial site for a general here. But what's awesome about this place is that now, in present day, it's a cat sanctuary.
Cats everywhere in Rome.
Look at this.
Yeah, cats are everywhere in Rome. There's a Bruce Lee movie, and there's this fight scene at the Colosseum, and the fight scene is great. It's the cats in the background, right? So you're watching Bruce Lee, and then you look at the back, and there's just cats everywhere, cats this, and they stole the scene. But yes, cats are everywhere. This was built about 18 BC, 18 years BC, and you're right, for Roman general Gaius Cestius. But here is one of the most amazing things about this pyramid. It is one of the best preserved monuments in all of Italy, and for a few different reasons. One, it's construction, but number two, it was built behind the walls of a fortress, so
Right.
it was protected, and so it never got damaged. And there it sits. It's brick faced, and it's brick faced concrete, that famous Roman concrete that survives to this day. And there was a press release that came out earlier this week that we have finally figured out why the Roman concrete has survived for over 2,000 years. That, we build things of concrete today and it just crumbles, 50 years later,
Right.
and that's it. Roman concrete has lasted for over 2,000 years, and this is an example of that. So this is brick face concrete slabs on the outside that is white marble on a travertine foundation. I have travertine Roman tile in my bathrooms, and so hopefully they will survive the next couple of thousand years. But it is beautiful marble, and so that's the foundation. It measures 100 Roman feet square at the base, which is about 30 meters or about 100 feet square at the base. And it is 37 meters high, which is 125 Roman feet. So it is very big. The interior, it does have a burial chamber. It's a barreled, round, vaulted rectangular cavity. It's about 6 meters long, 4 meters wide, 4 meters high. When they finally opened it in 1660, so about 400 years ago, the chamber was found to be decorated with frescoes, which have since deteriorated because they opened up the chamber. But they were recorded and documented by Pietro Sandro Bartoli. Very little of it remains to this day. But here's the deal. When they finally got into the burial chamber in 1660, it was empty.
Dun,
That's
dun,
right. It was
dun.
sealed. Yeah, it was sealed when it was built, but there was nothing there, and they don't have any idea. But somebody got into the chamber before 1660 and plundered everything. They don't have any idea when that happened, but it was empty when it was opened in 1660.
And for this pyramid, as it again was supposed to be for a burial, Cestius said, "When I pass, I want you to build a pyramid in 330 days. If it is not completed in that time, the heirs of the deceased would have not been eligible for the inheritance of whatever would be inside." And
That's
I
it.
find
Put a curse on the tomb before it's built.
right, pretty much.
I love that story. It's a true story too. So they got it done.
Yeah, yeah, I don't blame them, but 330 days is a pretty impressive time
It is.
to create something like this during that time frame.
Yeah.
12 BC, 18
Well,
BC, give or take a little bit.
yeah, that's a long time ago. And not only was it finished, but it stands today pretty much the same as when it was built. It is undamaged. And look how beautiful it is. It's, 100 feet tall. You can see the cars, you can see the fortress behind it, right? So it's behind the walls of this fortress. And you can see the person standing there next to it to give you an idea of its size. I haven't seen it. I would love to see it in person.
I bet. But moving back over to Egypt, because this is kind of what sparked this conversation about Italy. They got so interested in Egypt that they created a pyramid and a few other structures that were inspired by the Egyptians. But looking at the pyramids of Giza. We have to talk about those, even just touching on them, because those pyramids are the most famous pyramids of all time. When someone says the term pyramid, that's what you think of, the pyramids of Giza. And don't get me wrong, they're beautiful. So let me pull up one of them, being the Pyramid of Khufu. Let me pull that up as a visual aid while we get into this. But Jimmy, take this one away.
Okay, so oh man, Christina, that's my fault. Okay, so pull that down. I'm drunk driving apparently. Okay, pull up your image again.
Okay.
I'll
Let's
do
see.
mine later.
This
See,
is mine.
who has got control of this show? That's the question. Apparently, it's the guy with the beanie. Okay, pull your image up. I have a collection of images here that have not been seen. Okay, so again, and I'm going to share some images here in just a second. The impact that this has on you when you step up and look at it, I can't explain it. I understand that Orthodox Egyptologists are going to tell you that this is a burial tomb for Khufu, and that's fine. Okay, that stays. But for me, when I entered this, when you see it from the outside, it seems mechanical. There's something else to it. And then when you enter the Great Pyramid, and you go into the Grand Gallery, and you see it. There's something mechanical. There isn't any artwork adorning the walls. There's no hieroglyphics. There's nothing there. It's barren of everything. There's nothing inside or outside of the pyramid, and it's something that stands out for you when you go through the entrance, which is what I was showing here. So when you have something like this, and I'm going to add this. This is a photograph that I took. The entrance going in. This is the shaft going into the Grand Gallery. And as you notice, something this perfect. There's nothing on. There's nothing on the walls. There's just nothing there. In this next image, there I am, a little sunburnt, alone inside of the Great Pyramid, and the feeling that you get, I'm alone. Right. And aside from Billy Carson, who took this picture, he's behind me, but there's a silence. There is no instructions. There isn't. If I built this pyramid, I would have my name all over it. Right. And I think anybody would. There's nothing like that here. It is a very strange feeling to be in something this big, built this purposeful. And there's nothing there. There's no instructions. There's nobody saying hello. On the outside of the pyramid, this is a selfie. And I want you to notice one thing about this picture. And it's this line right here. Look how perfect and straight it is. And that is a line that is brought together from the roughness of the stones that I'm standing directly in front of. So when you're standing right here, Christina, right, everything looks a little jumbled. It doesn't look consistent. But look at the line in the background. That is perfect. It's absolutely perfect. Here is another shot of me from another angle, and I want you to notice, see the roughness of the stones right next to me, and how they look, and then look off in the distance and look at the perfect straight line that they end up forming. That's the part of the Great Pyramid that is it just stands out in front of you, because up close you're looking at this, and then you step back and you see its divine perfection. It's a crazy thing, and that's why I took this picture. I wanted to capture that line. These images have never been seen. They're straight off my phone from earlier today. Here is another shot at the base of the Great Pyramid, and again, I want to demonstrate the what appears to be a pile of rocks when you're standing up close. But now look right in the background, and that's the edge of the Great Pyramid. As you can see, I'm here alone. There's nobody else around me at this moment, and I am able to observe and look at this completely up close. It's crazy. There is one other thing that I want to mention, and it's right here. This is the crazy part about the Great Pyramid. Down here is the foundation. So when you build a pyramid of this size, and of which there are dozens across Europe that are this big, this isn't the only one. But you cannot build it on a foundation that is going to move. Pyramid's going to fall, right? It's going to crumble. Aside, it's not going to be correct. The Egyptians built the Great Pyramid on a foundation of leveled limestone blocks. And so the beauty of the Great Pyramid and the engineering behind it could not be standing today if it wasn't for this perfect foundation. So, Cristina, I will ask you, where does the engineering idea come from when you're building this 5,000 years ago, and you say to yourself, well, we've got to build a foundation first that mathematically can support the weight that is going to be constructed above it. And if the foundation wasn't built, the pyramid wouldn't be standing as perfect as it is today. It hasn't moved. It hasn't shifted through earthquakes, weather, storms, wind, rain, everything that has gone on worldwide. The pyramid stands today as it did 5,000 years ago. And I think that's a remarkable feat of engineering coming from supposedly Stone Age tribes from the deserts of the Sahara. And it doesn't make sense. And I think that this is as important as the pyramid itself.
It does require very advanced thinking to mathematically understand how heavy the temple will be, this pyramid, and then go from there. And it would also mean that there must have been trial and error. They must have created other pyramids to understand how to create this one, the Khufu pyramid. But we don't have any too much prior evidence of a pyramid with a really good sturdy foundation. Texas Jelly, thank you so much for the super sticker and supporting the RV fund. But when it comes to this particular pyramid and all these other pyramids that are incredibly ancient, did they get this knowledge from an older civilization? These are the questions that we need to ask.
Okay, so let's stay right there for a second and let's go to this next image, because this was before the Great Pyramid. This is the bent pyramid. And this was built, let's just take me out of here for a second. This was built in between the Step Pyramid and the Great Pyramid. And we're only talking about a 100-year period here, Cristina. So, 150 years, between 3000 BC and 2750, 2800 BC. You got a 200-year period where all of this stuff got built. It all got built in a very, very, very short period of time. And then you see something like this, the bent pyramid. And I want you to look at the people, okay? Look at, those are my friends right here. You see them standing there? Look at the size of this monstrosity. It is huge. It is crazy big. And off to the side right here, that's scaffolding. Those are stairs, and then that takes you up to the entrance, and then you descend this way hundreds of feet down a tunnel down to the burial chamber, which is deep inside of the pyramid, under it, as opposed to the Great Pyramid, where the king's chamber is in the middle of the pyramid, where you ascend up to it. This pyramid, you go down deep, deep, deep underground, and then the chamber itself, which when you're in the underground chamber, it comes up and it goes into the pyramid this way. I don't have those pictures here. I don't want to bog us down with this stuff, but I do have a movie that I shot. So check this out. I may have to mute it here. Let me get this going.
Now, guys,
Okay, so this is Billy Carson and I walking up to the pyramid, and it's just to give you some sense of its size. Look at it. We're walking like a half a mile across the desert, and you can see way, way, way down in front. You can see our friends that are approaching it. But when you walk up on it, look, it's hazy. It's so big. It's hazy, right? I can't explain it. The corners, as you can see, it looks like they were almost blasted or shot at. Again, I can't explain that. Some say that the foundation wasn't strong enough to support it, and the sides crumbled. But it also looks burnt to me. But that's for another time. But as Billy and I walk up to it, and we get closer, its size starts to become very, very, very apparent. You cannot believe that something like this was built. Now, the other part, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. The other part about how amazing this is that right over our backs, right behind us, is the Red Pyramid. Now, we talk about the Giza and the Giza Plateau and Menkaure and Khufu and Khafre and those three pyramids that are there. Yeah, okay. But here out in the middle of Saqqara is a collection of pyramids that are just as big and just as amazing as what's going on at Giza. And it starts here with the bent pyramid, and the finishing stones are still there. So you can see how it must have looked back then. But right behind us is the Red Pyramid. Now, there's the scaffolding right there, and that's the entrance. And I won't spend any more time. I think Billy and I might. Actually, I'm going to fast forward here. I've never seen this video, so I apologize for that, everybody. I don't know what's being presented here. Okay, so let me pull this down, and I am going to show you this. This is the Red Pyramid, and this is a video that I shot approaching it. Now, from the front of the bent pyramid that you just saw there with the scaffolding where Billy and I are talking, all you have to do is turn around, and right there, 1 mile away, and is the Red Pyramid. 1 mile with a pyramid of that size, it looks like it's in your backyard. It's right there. So here I am driving around the Red Pyramid. This was the last pyramid, allegedly, that was built before the Great Pyramid. They got the design done. Its size and everything else measures just about the same as the Great Pyramid. But to understand what I'm talking about, again, this is right next to the Bent Pyramid. And you're looking at this and you're like, how? You know, a month later, they finish that, and then they start building this, and a couple of months later, they're building that, and a couple of months later, they're building that, and then it's mind-blowing. But here's the Red Pyramid as I drove around it. And again, I can't put the size into words, and what we are looking at. You have to see it in person. I haven't seen this video. I've never seen it. I shot it, and it just sat on my phone until today. So I have no idea how long it is or what we are going to see here. I'm shooting through the window, and I don't know what I'm about to see. And here it is. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is the entrance on the far side, and I think we just park and we walk up to it. Now here, the entrance is about halfway up, and that's the end of this video. Again, this, when you look at the construction of these in Egypt, it's not, people want to think about the Great Pyramid, which is awesome. You drive out to Saqqara and you're on these desert roads, Cristina, you know, when you want to see a pyramid, you just turn your head. You just look this way, and off in the desert, there are so many that have crumbled over time. They look like mountains, but it's flat desert, right? It's the Sahara,
Right.
and then you see these mounds, and they're huge, and they're everywhere. We just didn't have the time to drive off into the desert and see everything, but that's what happens. You just look around, and you're seeing these giant constructions just about everywhere you look.
And with those pyramids, they're believed to be to align with very specific stars as well. And that's a
Everyone,
consistent theme
yes.
with multiple pyramids across the globe. One of them being Teotihuacan in Mexico, the Pyramid of the Sun. And I'm going to share an image here while we get into that. It is an incredibly beautiful temple with a very treacherous history regarding it. But it is another pyramid that we have to talk about that's also a very famous one. So the sides go ahead, Jimmy.
The Temple of the Sun, and well, the entire complex that is there. When we again, we constantly make this reference back to the Great Pyramid, and I understand why, but why do we have something like the Temple of the Sun? Why do we have the idea of this type of construction all around the world? And it's the size, right? I'm talking about the dimensions, the idea behind it. Is there a communication that is happening, Christina? And I will suggest that there may have been a transoceanic culture that was sharing these ideas with Central and South American cultures, certainly with the Mayans, with all of the indigenous cultures of Central America and Mexico, stretching back around and over into China. That the idea somebody was teaching, right? Somebody was suggesting, maybe even showing images or drawings of a temple, and then the idea is there, and then the construction happens. Because the Pyramid of the Sun is the largest building in Teotihuacan, number one, and it's one of the largest in all of Mesoamerica. It is believed to have been constructed at around 200 AD. It is 233 feet high and 733 feet square. Now, it's a little bit shorter, the way that it sits today, than the Great Pyramid, but the sides, the base, nearly exactly the same. And again, oriented to the stars.
And little is known of the people who actually built Teotihuacan, and the purpose of the Pyramid of the Sun remains largely a matter of conjecture. Scholars once believed that the ancient Toltec civilization may have built the massive city, including this pyramid, based largely on colonial period texts. But the Toltec culture flourished hundreds of years after Teotihuacan peaked. Other scholars believe that the Totonacs, a tribe from the east, built and inhabited the city. But as for how this thing was built, no one's really sure. And that's what's really interesting about this particular pyramid, along with the sacrifices that took place there as well, who built it, why was it built, and how long did it take to build? I mean, this thing is absolutely massive.
Christina, oh, by the way, Tasaka.
You gotta say it. Thank you so much, Mark. It says, Christina and Jimmy, just something small to support the incredible work you're doing. Please keep on producing the excellent content. Thank you so much, Tasaka.
And I'll keep saying Tasaka.
It's the only way.
It's the only way to do it. The Avenue of the Dead. Okay, so the Temple of the Sun, Temple of the Moon, right? It's just, whoa. But it's the Avenue of the Dead. This continues out. It is so enormous.
That's right.
How did it get done? Now we are talking about a population of this. Some have suggested nobody really knows, though, Christina. And I want to thank you for making that point. We really don't know the peak of the civilization, the timing of things. How large was this city? Was it the central? Was it the capital city? None of these questions have ever been answered. But the Avenue of the Dead, and you stand there and you look, and at the end of it is the Temple of the Sun, and you see what is happening. You can see parts of it here, right? The step pyramids that are forming the Avenue of the Dead. How did it get built, and what was its purpose? It's extraordinary.
And supposedly there have been some UFO sightings around the area as well.
Constantly, actually. Lots of them. Everything is obviously pre-Columbian. Okay.
Yeah, it has to be.
But we don't have firm dates. And the panoramic views and going up and seeing, was that done with purpose? Don't know. Artifacts in the Museum of the Culture on site is full of pottery. We've got bones. We have all of that, but we don't have specific dating, and we don't have. Yeah, it looks like a concert venue. You know what? Hides in long grass. Best comment of the show. We're not even done yet. I think that there is something to that. I think you can see people stacked up. You know what I mean? Like a concert site, like there was something happening down in the avenue. Yeah. That's exactly what it looks like.
These are a lot of steps to casually go up and down. And keep in mind that these steps are incredibly steep. It is easy to go up. It is incredibly difficult to come down because you could slip at any moment.
You have a fear if you fell. Okay, look, I'm just calling it. I'm calling it right now. One little slip, you don't stop till the bottom. You don't. Right? That is very, very steep. Have you thought about that? Would you climb? I think that the people at the top there are very courageous. Would you do it? Would you climb?
Yeah, of course.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
You betcha.
You betcha. That is just extremely steep. And I've thought about it. Also the Great Pyramid. Now, look, when we were there, I'm going to divulge a little bit of a secret. I had a friend that I made. I'm not going to say his name, Matt, and I would never say Matt's name live. I wouldn't do that.
No, of course not.
But Matt and I were conspiring. Okay, when nobody's looking, we're climbing the Great Pyramid, and so we had this whole plan, right? Well, it didn't happen. But I'm going to say, when you get up, the idea of climbing it sounds good on paper until you get there and you see how steep it is and the size of the rocks. And climbing up is one thing, climbing down is another. But a slip and fall is something that you wouldn't want to. Yeah, exactly. Coming down is the hard part. Zenzabil, you are 100% correct. So it's you just don't want anything to happen, and that's why I bailed out. Matt was like, "No, man, let's go." I was like, "Man, no." I had to talk him out of it. But even this, the Temple of the Sun here, can you enlarge this on those front steps? Just enlarge it right there. Look how steep that is. Yeah, that's just crazy to me. So there you go.
Yeah, and it's a lot of steps.
It's a lot of stuff.
I mean, you got to be really fit.
It's
to do that
ginormous.
kind of stuff.
And the base of the Pyramid of the Sun I think it's like 10 feet shorter, smaller than the Great Pyramid. It's almost exact 10 feet when you're talking about that kind of size. Now, is that a coincidence? I don't think so.
I don't think so. Kevin, thank you so much for the super sticker and supporting the RV fund, of course. So, Jimmy, where do you want to go next with pyramids around the world?
Okay, let's go. Let's go with some controversy. Can we do controversy?
What you got?
Cuba.
Okay. This is an interesting case.
It is. Do you have images?
I do have images. I
Okay.
will pull that up
Okay,
right
while you
now.
are pulling that up, sonar images, when this started to bust loose around Y2K and the story started to surface and things, they started to say, now I want you to stay right here in this image, that there was something geometric, that there was a city here, a large urban complex. And these recordings, sonar images, by the way, okay, all sonar, covering an area of 2 square kilometers at the depths of about 2,000 feet. So once you get down to 2,000 feet, and this is on the western side of Cuba, once you get down to 2,000 feet, you are at extreme crush depths, right? So you're not going to throw on a wetsuit and go scuba diving. That's not going to happen. And number two, the submarines or submersibles that are able to get to 2,000 feet. There's only a couple of those in the world, and then you have the Cuban government, which absolutely didn't want anybody checking out anything off of the coast of Cuba. So that always became an issue. The discovery was reported by Pauline Zalitsky and her husband and Paul, and they owned a company called, it was from Canada, called Advanced Digital Communications. Now, if you go back to this period of time, and Paula and her husband Paul, Pauline and her husband Paul, yes, Paul, Pauline and Paul, the sonar images then started to get interpolated. All right. And so you take the images and you modify them. What you're showing here, do you have another image?
This is the one I have. This is like
This
the
is,
main one.
yeah, this is one of the most popular ones. Is this enhanced? Now, I have seen other images that were not this one, that were allegedly of the original sonar readings, and you look at those and you're like, man, I don't see what everybody is talking about here. There are other enhanced images further from these that are absolutely extraordinary, but how do you take sonar imaging to the next level and make sure that it is accurate? I will say that there is a geometric formation there. Something is, it looks like streets, right? It looks like a downtown area. It does look like large rectangular areas that could be interpreted, right, as pyramids. Here's the thing. Cuba, no. There was, I'll make one other comment. And by the way, I'm turning on my heater in real time here because it's starting to get cold. The cold is coming in, and boop, 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 boop. I love a smart home. Did it right here on my phone. Is that Cuba at one point said, come on in. So it looked like Nat Geo and the Smithsonian was going to have access to the site, and there was going to be some heavy research done. Are we looking at Atlantis? Are we looking at pyramids? Are we looking at a lost civilization? It's 2,000 feet of water. This is not 400 feet. Which is the number that has been put out there by many, Graham Hancock and others, of the rise and fall of sea levels at 12,000 years ago was about 400 feet. But now we're talking 2,000 feet. How long ago, when we're talking about 2,000 feet, was this dry land? Right.
It would have to be before the Ice Age, before the last Ice Age.
A million years ago. And so Cuba originally agreed to that. And it seemed like we were going to make some great strides. And then there was a shutdown of the entire project. And I believe that there was funding there for the Smithsonian and National Geographic to go in and do this. The movement was happening, and then Cuba shut it down, and nobody. This part of the Cuban waters is shut off. You cannot go there at all.
And with Paul and Pauline, they originally went in that area back in 2001 to look for shipwrecks. Like that was their purpose. They were not knowledgeable in sunken cities. That wasn't their forte. But when they came across these images through sonar, they're like, this looks really odd. And they actually sat on these photos for quite a few years before they made them public. And then as soon as it went viral during that time frame, people believed that it was Atlantis. And then, like you had mentioned, Cuba was ready for there to be research. People were excited to do investigations. And then it was very quickly shut down, stating, no, we're not having any more investigations. It's going to be on the lowdown now, which is interesting. Now, there have been debunkers stating this was all made naturally, but when you look at this image, it is somewhat difficult to agree with that, with the straight lines that we're seeing, with the pyramids, with all of the different shapes, but yet they're in an order. More so that if you're dealing with something that was naturally made, it would be a lot less organized, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that is all of what the central part of this controversy is that when you make a discovery like this, normally you're going to get funded and you're going to go back. Let's get some answers here because this is pretty nuts and this could be a huge discovery. And the issues with Cuba are there, and it's their decision. And it seemed like at the time we were about to make a huge breakthrough in human history, that there was something that was going to be done. You need to prove or disprove this. When you have the initial set of imaging, it's exciting, and it appears that there is something there, but you have to go back and do the follow-up research. This was not what they were doing. They had a company that was dealing with other types of imaging, and like you said, looking for treasure and looking for shipwrecks. That's what they were set up to go and do. They got these images, presented it to the world, got the funding, and it was about to happen. Why would Cuba shut this down? That's they suggested security issues, and of course the territorial rights of Cuba, and that was their reasons for it. Or is there something bigger here? Right? Was there another reason for this? And here's the thing: was there research that was done? Right? They have the area. They have everything. Did they find out something that they didn't want disclosed? If it was nothing, right? Tra la la. If it was nothing, I think we would have known that. But to have it completely shut down since, and here we are in 2023, and we have no access to it, it would suggest something else to me.
And it's disappointing that we're not going to receive those answers anytime soon. But while we're leaning towards the topic of things that are controversial, let's go ahead and talk about the Black Pyramid in Alaska.
Go ahead. Now, I didn't with this, and I'm sure you have some images. I've done lots of shows on this, Christina, and I've talked to Linda Moulton Howe about this. There is a lot of pretty strong evidence to suggest that something is going on there that involves the United States Army and our military, and possibly the Air Force. One of the original whistleblowers that came out about this had said that there were rumors going on. There were rumors going around the base that everybody was being stationed up at this remote area where there was the discovery of a black pyramid. And I think this might be Antarctica, what you're showing here.
Is it? No, it can't be. I typed it in. I made sure, but it's okay. I will check one more time
That's
just
okay.
to make sure.
That's okay. You can go back to it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Possibly over 1 million years old. And so the whistleblower that came forward said that he was on base in the rec room, and he sees a news report from the local television station there in Alaska. about the discovery of this pyramid, and that the army had dispatched troops, and that there was a base camp set up there, and there was this thing. So he started telling people about, man, did you see the report on the news? I did. Yeah, that's incredible. So they went back to the news station to ask to see the footage again, and it didn't exist. Right. Yeah. So here we go. Now what do we do? Right. It's the same story. Now there are, again, all of this is like anecdotal, right? That there were stories that the station manager said, hey man, some people showed up from the military and they took the tapes. Is that true or not? Did it actually happen? Don't know. Did he actually see a report on the local They are saying that the report was broadcast. Nothing in the logs. Nothing is there. The tapes are gone. So what are we left with, Christina?
Nothing. We're not even given images either. Now, that picture that I had pulled up was more for a visual aid when I typed it in through Google, and then I got all nervous and you're like, "That's not it." I'm like, "You're right, it's not." But because there's not even images of the Black Pyramid either, and that's why there's so much controversy regarding this location, because you're dealing with, people in the military stating that they've seen it. You're dealing with alleged witness scientists saying that they've worked there. You're dealing with remote viewers such as a few that have stated that there is a pyramid in Alaska that no one's familiar with and that it's buried in snow. And that's why, when looking at this topic, and we talked about it in the Mysteries of Alaska a few months back on this show, and it is one of those little stories that makes you question, is it true? Is it not? And what's the purpose for this information to come out? Because it originally came out back in 1992 when Channel 13 Anchorage reported a news story regarding an apparent discovery of a huge pyramid buried underground about 50 miles from Mount McKinley. And from there, the whole world knew about it, but then that story was very quickly buried. And as you had mentioned, you had spoken to Linda, and she did an interview back in 2012, speaking to someone stating that they were knowledgeable in that pyramid and what was going on there. And there was also another witness by the name of Bruce L. Pearson from New Jersey stated that a pilot had informed his father that the pyramid was not made by man, and that it was indeed a power generator that was thousands of years old. It could generate enough power to power not only all of Alaska, but mostly probably Canada as well.
There was, and again, I'm just going off of my memory here in my discussions with Linda about this. That's how they found the pyramid. That there was a signal, there was some kind of power that was still emanating from the area, and it was picked up by sensors by the army, which took them to that area where they found a sphinx. Okay, there's stories that there was a sphinx next to this as well. But that the dating of this, because of where it was located underground, that for it to be above ground, it would have been over 100 million years ago, and that Alaska was in a different part of the world back then. Continental shifts and drifts and movements of the continents, and to put this in another area without ice and snow, it would have been over 100 million years ago. I think Linda dated it at 130 million years. And also because of its remote location, there's no way that anybody can go and check it out. Now, here's the other part that I've always found fascinating with this. That's in Alaska. Then we have the reports of, and I've looked at it on Google Earth, of the other Black Pyramid in Antarctica.
Right.
I recently saw a documentary. Now, when you see it on Google Earth, okay, cool. All right, it looks like a pyramid. I saw a documentary on something completely about Pepsi and a jet, a Harrier jet. I think it's called Pepsi Give Me My Harrier or something. So or Pepsi Give Me My Jet. So I'm watching the documentary. Documentary is about these two guys that are mountain climbers. One is a mountain climbing guide, and the other guy is the rich guy that's paying the guy to go and climb mountains together. And they just recently decide to go to Antarctica. Right. So they go and they're going to climb this mountain in Antarctica, and they have a film crew, and they're going up the side of this mountain in Antarctica, and the film crew pans out just to show the view that they had from the top of this mountain. And guess what was there? The Black Pyramid in Antarctica. It was right there. And I stopped it. I'm talking about 4K, high res, blazing color. When you see the other images of the pyramid in Antarctica, you're looking at it on Google Earth. For a second, you can see it when the camera pans in this documentary. And I was floored. Christina, I freezed it. I went frame by frame, and I look, and I'm here to tell. Nobody there said anything about it, right? During the documentary, I lost my mind. But I cannot believe I'm seeing this right now, and I freeze frame. It is a pyramid. I cannot, and so as the camera pans, you see a mountain over here. You see the mountain that they're about to climb up to the summit, and how they look. They look like mountains. That is a perfect pyramid, just sticking right up out of the snow, and there it is. It is as much of a pyramid as anything in Egypt. It's crazy. Look at it. It's got 4 sides, and you should see it in this documentary. I'll see what I can do about going back and capturing some images of it.
And those that have attempted to scale this pyramid and Antarctica believe that it's about twice the size of the Pyramid of Giza.
It's huge. It's huge. It's huge, and it's perfect. And like I said, you can look. This is a Google Earth image here. When you see it in 3D with a high-res camera like that, as it pans across, it's a pyramid.
Pretty exciting.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, let's see. Where are we going? Oh, you want to go? You want to go China?
Let's do it. Another very controversial topic.
It is, and let's talk about the White Pyramid in China.
Okay, I'm going to pull an image up. It's more of a visual aid than anything else, but here we go. Dun, 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 got it. Okay.
Okay. Great. Okay. Now, there's a lot of controversy behind this image. I don't have my notes, but I can tell you about it. Can I tell you about it?
Tell us about it.
Okay, I am a pyramid pillar of knowledge, apparently. So 1947, the year, right? Everything's going down. It's 1947. And China was a different country back then, right? Not quite closed borders, closed society and things. Things were still a little bit open, and we just helped China in World War II and with Japan and all of that. So things were a little bit different. And this image here was taken from a plane from a scientist that is flying around China. And he looks out his window and he goes, "Holy crap, what is that?" Right? Snaps a picture. And says, I think there's pyramids in China. All right. Now, up to that point, mum was the word. And it still is, by the way. Now, a couple of the discoveries in China, this is the White Pyramid here. The discoveries in China that went so public that they have been turned into tourist destinations. That's for sure. This is the Great White Pyramid, Mao Ling. It's the tomb of the Emperor Wu of Han, and was built around 150 BC. Okay, now it's located in Jiping, Shanxi province, and scientists that have looked at the photographs of Chinese pyramids are rare. They're not allowed. We have some satellite imaging of pyramids in China. China got wise to that and started to plant trees. Okay, they're trying to make them, trying to hide them. And now we can see the outline shape, but they've gotten really, really good at hiding the pyramids in China. Why? Why don't they want this knowledge out there? Some of the analysis, including this pyramid here, suggests that these pyramids are 100 feet square. Or, I'm sorry, 1,000 feet square. The Great Pyramid in Egypt is about 756 feet square. So this would make this 25% bigger than at its base than the Great Pyramid. Other data suggest from the imaging that has been captured that these pyramids are also 1,000 feet tall. The Great Pyramid is 480 feet tall. So they would be twice the height. Now, why all of the secrecy? Some of these tombs have been opened up. We have seen rivers of mercury that went through there. Thousands and thousands of soldiers that were carved, each one with a different face, an individual face, there to protect the emperor's tomb. And those are fascinating to see. But these interior complexes, which in some cases represent entire cities, a miniature map of what is going on, are all there. Why not open these up to the world and allow archaeologists in to check out the history of China, the technology that was there, and how they were done? But it's completely closed off to any research.
And China mentioned that the reason to why a lot of these pyramids are closed off is because these are burial mounds that lay ancient members of the Chinese royal class who are intended to rest for eternity undisturbed. So it's this level of respect to not bother or disturb the dead. Now, is that true? Well, we simply don't know, as only less than a handful of pyramids are open to tourism. And with this image in particular, in 2000, Chinese officials declared that there were around 400 pyramids north of Xi'an, though that doesn't include the White Pyramid, the one that we're looking at now. And the question is, why? Why isn't this one included? Why do they not want to speak about it? What is actually going on there? And the story behind it, as you had mentioned, Jimmy, back in 1947, is a very interesting one where a foreigner was flying over the town and took a picture because obviously it caught his attention on seeing how ginormous it was.
Yeah, and I have. You can go and look at this when you look at the list of temples and the public list, I should say, of the list of temples and pyramids in China and who is buried there. It's a list a mile long. There are it's something that I understand the cultural impact of this and how they want this to be undisturbed, or is there something else going on? To constantly plant trees, cover these monuments in dirt so they can't be photographed by satellites. Why that kind of secrecy? I don't understand it. Though the White Pyramid that we're looking at here, we can't see how it's constructed. It's covered in dirt, right? Purposefully hidden. So, what is the construction techniques? We don't know. The secrecy behind the White Pyramid, but this photograph that you're looking at here, it's one of the only ones. There are models of it that have been built, right? We can look at those. We can look at reconstructions. We can look at those, but the actual site itself, no, denied.
No, that information is not public. Lavera, thank you so much for the super sticker and supporting the RV fund. So we have about 15 minutes left, Jimmy. What's the next pyramid that you'd like to cover?
Oh, let's see. Well, okay. All right. I think I want to go back to Mexico. I would like to go
All
to
right.
some of the Nubian pyramids too, as well. But we got to go to Cholula, and there is a reason why I want to go to Cholula. And I'm going to thank Graham Hancock for this because Graham Hancock and his what's that series called?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay. He's got a new
Yeah.
series out. Well, it's not new now. It came out a couple of months ago. On I think it's on Netflix, and he visits Cholula, and there's controversy behind how it was presented and so forth. But I'm glad that he did, and the reason for that is that this is the largest archaeological site of a pyramid in the world.
It's
That's it.
4 times larger than Giza and twice its volume.
And twice its volume. And so we can talk about the Temple of the Sun, Temple of the Moon, the Great Pyramid, Giza, the Bend Pyramid, and Djoser, and the Red Pyramid, these things that we're so familiar with. Cholula is not on that list. And here's the crazy part. So the Spanish show up, right? And they go, "Oh, pretty nice hill. Let's build a church on top." Right?
Yeah. Right up here.
Yeah. And they didn't know what they were walking on. So now stay right here. So apparently, through archaeological digging and research going into the site, it's like a Russian doll. It's a pyramid on a pyramid on a pyramid on a pyramid. It is the largest pyramid by volume known to exist in the world. It's built by Adobe Brick. Now it is, if there are different ways to measure this. Now, if we go with the ground level, then it is significantly shorter in height than the Great Pyramid. Its base is 1,000 feet on its side, 1,033 feet in its final form. Egypt is 481 feet tall. This one is about 100 feet tall if we go from ground level. If we go to the absolute base of the pyramid, to the top of the hill, it's about the same size as the Great Pyramid. So it is ginormous in size. It is full of tunnels. It is full. There is more undiscovered here. They're continuing to this day. Cholula also has a good hot sauce. Man,
It's true.
I love this audience, man. That is great. That's a good one. It is continued. It's continuing excavations right now. So when you go to the site today, you can see that they are digging it out from all sides.
And the pyramid consists of 6 layers built over each other and is believed to be older than the vast majority of Mesoamerican architecture,
Oh,
meaning it's super duper old.
yeah, and it is huge. I mean, it is huge, and I keep going back. I keep scratching the same itch, but you have this same thing when you are dealing with monuments and temples and architecture and engineering of this size. How did they get it done? Where did the ideas come from? Where is the knowledge of engineering? Where does the math come from?
And
And
the
that,
dedication as
and,
well. Like, what was the purpose behind, like, obviously
and,
the purpose behind it, but like, why?
and the alignment to the stars. You know,
Right.
and Christina, here's the fascinating thing, and let's not dismiss the significance of this. But when you have a temple like this, or the Great Pyramid, excuse me, or the Great Pyramid, and you have an alignment of a 60th of a degree. A 60th of a degree. Now, it's one thing to be standing in one place and look at your compass, and you and I are standing there together, and we line up a 60th of a degree, and and it's difficult to do, but we line it up and we get it. You can do it with your cell phone. It's tough to stand that way. It's a whole nother matter to line up something that is 500 feet wide, 500 feet long, and 2.5 million bricks. And you get that at the end of all of that construction to line up that accurate. If you got your RV fund, right? Right? You got your RV. You go to an RV park and you pull up and you go, is there a place where I can park my RV level and I could point directly due north? They look at you and go, why? What, no, why? That's impossible. But apparently 5,000 years ago, it was pretty easy. And that's the part that I think is so significant here. When you look at the Temple of the Sun, the Temple of the Moon, you look at Cholula, and of course the pyramids across Egypt, to engineer something so perfect, to align and flat and level, to survive and span time of thousands of years for us to be here today talking about it, that is of such important significance.
It is, and it's in a sense unfortunate that so many of them have been buried and took a long time to excavate, and there's probably still a bunch more that are buried deep within the earth that we just haven't seen yet.
That's right. That's right. Well, if you look at the Nubian pyramids in the Sudan, there are 3 or 4 periods of time when they were building these, right? And they're beautiful. Now they're significantly smaller, right? I don't know if you have any images of them there, but there are hundreds, right? And so we talk about all of the pyramids in Egypt, and look at this.
They're
Right?
beautiful.
They are beautiful, and these are obviously temples. You can see burial chambers. You can see the entrances to them. The first site, and this is what we're looking at here, actually in the background, not what you're looking at in the foreground. That is El Khufu, and including the tombs of King Kashta, his son Paye, the Paye successors, Shabaka. And we're talking about nieces and nephews and princes and queens and kings and so forth. But that's where this site is. That's in the background. Later, the Napton pyramids at Nuri, another 10 kilometers north of the original bank on the Nile, which is a little bit further than this. This necropolis was a burial place of 21 kings, 52 queens and princes, and so everybody had their own little pyramid built, and it's just a sea of them. The most expensive Nubian pyramid site is Meroe, which is located between the 5th and 6th cataracts of the Nile, approximately 240 kilometers, 150 miles north of Khartoum. During the Meroitic period, over 40 queens and kings were buried there. A lot of these were undisturbed. Now, a lot of them are also buried in sand, so they weren't accessed by looters and grave robbers, right? Tomb robbers, tomb raiders. But they're all over, and it's to see this many pyramids all in one location is extraordinary. But then you got to back up, look at the architecture. Where did the ideas come from? Obviously, some of this came from Egypt and the ideas behind it, or did it? Right? Don't know. But here we go. It's one of the most extensive pyramid complexes in the world.
The first Nubian pyramid was built around 700 BC, and the rest were built between 300 BC and 300 AD.
Correct.
During a certain period, this area was conquered by Egypt. So as you can tell through the architecture, a lot of it is influenced by the Egyptian pyramids. But even after they were no longer conquered by the Egyptians, and supposedly this area at one point conquered Egypt for a certain period of time, they kept some of the traditions of how to do architecture and also the gods in whom they worshipped at the time, which is very interesting. But looking at this architecture, it is truly beautiful. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't familiar with these pyramids until doing the research for today's show. And it's a place that, and it is a beautiful piece of architecture that would make me state, huh, I would like to go there.
I love it. It's a site where you stop and you think about this for a second, where they, 50 kings, 50 queens, princes, and the royal family, and everybody got their own tomb. It's just amazing to look at. It is just truly amazing. The influences, if how do I say this correctly? You would have to have, if you were from this part of the Sudan, you would have to have gone deep into Egypt and have seen a pyramid, right? Oh, as far north as Giza. Did you see the Bent Pyramid? Did you see this? And bring the ideas back. The construction of these were between 1007 started 1700 BC and moving forward. Or did the idea come from elsewhere? And then you look at the entrances of these tombs, and they look like the temple complexes that were in Upper Egypt, getting closer to Sudan, right? And
Right.
so you see the similarities there. But those temple complexes didn't have pyramids. They only had the entrances. This looks like Luxor. This looks like the Temple of Isis. This looks like Karnak. This looks like Edfu or Kamambo. I understand that. You can see the similarities there. And then did they see pyramids at another time and then combine the two, right? Or
Great question.
is the idea for this just in our DNA? Right? They were building these in Mexico City, right? They were building these in China without seeing the construction that was going on in Egypt, unless somebody else brought them the ideas.
That's right. Nature Cam, thank you so much for supporting the RP Fun. It says, arrived at the party late. Love how both of you are gothed out. Please add this to the RV Mobile Fund. Ramen Mobile Fund. Thank you so much, Nature Cam. Do appreciate that. So we have like 2 minutes left. And the last one that I want to cover today is the Ziggurat of Ur. We got
You
to
got
cover
to,
it.
you
We
got
got to
to,
cover
you
it.
got to, you got to, you got to.
Okay, I'm gonna pull it up and we'll speed through this one because I know you have Fade to Black almost right after this, so I won't keep you on for too long. But talking about deserts, we do need to cover this last location. And here we are looking at this beautiful kind of pyramid slash temple. It's actually a step pyramid. And what I found interesting about this pyramid in particular is not necessarily how it was built, which, trust me, is incredibly fascinating, but it was actually the piece of information regarding Saddam Hussein when during the war between the Americans and the Iraq war was that he believed that if he parked his fighter jets right next to the ziggurat, that he and his team will remain unharmed because the Americans wouldn't want to ruin this temple. Well, he was almost correct, but there are still now some bullet holes at some locations in this area. And that's one piece of information that I found incredibly interesting that I did want to cover today before we end today's show. But Jimmy, tell us a little bit about the history of this location.
Okay. Well, I'm also going to give everybody the breaking news that has just landed as of a couple of minutes ago. Priscilla Presley has confirmed that her daughter, Elvis Presley's daughter, Lisa Marie Presley, has died at the age of 54. And she had a heart attack about 6 hours ago. and she has left this earth. Devastating news. This is in real time. This is a live show, and I'm just sharing that with everybody. Crushing. Yesterday, Jeff Beck. Today, Lisa Marie Presley, at the age of 54. This ziggurat. I'm sorry, I don't want to be, but this is what you do when you do live news or a live show. And this stuff happens from time to time. The ziggurat was constructed. Here is the crazy part of your 2100 BC. Okay, now just if a few hundred years after the pyramid craze, if we go with Orthodox historians, okay, and the timing of all of this. This is the reconstruction that happened. Saddam Hussein rebuilt the staircases that you see here in the 1920s. They started to excavate it and try to reconstruct the way that it was constructed and so forth, trying to get a visualization of it. It crumbled into ruins in around the 6th century BC. It is estimated. Now, I am going to go off of my memory here. I believe that the base of this is about 700 feet wide. Again, very close to the size of the Great Pyramid on its sides. Its estimated height is to be around 400 feet, but we don't know. If it continued with the steps that we have here, there you go. The estimated height is somewhere between 250 and 400 feet tall, which makes it ginormous by anybody's measurement.
Right. And if we look at it today, as you can tell between the supposedly how it originally looked compared to now, there is no top piece.
That's right.
So, archaeologists stated that when they were excavating this area, they did find some blue stones up here, referring to one of the top tiers of this step pyramid, which is massive. It's beautiful. It's been supposedly restored twice since its time of its creation, and it still hasn't been fully repaired, which is unfortunate because again, it is a stunning piece of architecture and one that's also somewhat mysterious as well.
Oh, I stand corrected. It's about 210 feet wide. About 210 feet wide. So I had said 700 feet, but still, it's a monstrosity, and it is very, very old. Again, guesstimated to be built around the 21st century, between 2100 and 2200 years BC.
Truly stunning. Jimmy, thank you so much for doing this show with me. I know that you have Fade to Black. Who's on today?
Patricia Corey, and we're going to be discussing her book, new book, just released, just published, Hacking the God Code. She lives in the Azores, those beautiful islands right in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and which we have talked about a lot, you and I. And so she'll be live from the Azores here with us at 7:00. Everybody, I've just a crazy day today, an amazing show with you, Cristina. Thank you, everybody. And I've got to get ready, and I'll see everybody in just under an hour over on Fade to Black. Thank you, Cristina.
Rock on. Thank you, Jimmy. What a fascinating show today. Out of all the cases that we covered, which one was your favorite? Which story regarding the pyramids was your favorite case? Let me know in the live chat. Let me know in the comments because I want to hear it. I think for myself, the last one. And the main reason is because of Saddam Hussein and his mentality thinking, if I park my jets really close to this area, maybe we won't get shot. And I think that's a really interesting mindset. I would like to mention that the UAP report was just released today, and I will be talking about that on Space.radio at 9 p.m. PST with a panel of other guests as well. So if you do want to hear a deep dive rundown on the newly released UAP report, jump over to Spaced Out Radio. There you're going to find everything that you need and more regarding that 8-page report, supposedly 12 pages, but out of those 12, we're only getting about 8 pages of that. So I'll go into detail on what I think and pieces of information that I think are important as well. Make sure to hit the like button if you're watching this on YouTube before you head out. Tomorrow, Friday, is going to be Weekly Strange News at 3 p.m. PST. So make sure to hit the notification bell on YouTube so that you do not miss that show, where I'll be covering all the strange news and mysterious headlines from around the world. It's one of my favorite shows to do, and you guys love it as well. So come by and stop to watch it live. That is it for today's show. Be safe, and remember, keep your eyes on the skies.